The conversation turned to amorous successes, and each man began to recall something extraordinary. Those astonishing, enchanting encounters in a train compartment, in a foreign hotel, or by the seashore. Beaches, Roger de Annettes affirmed, are especially conducive to love. All eyes turned to Gontran, who had been silent until then. Paris is in a league of its own here, too, he pronounced. Women are like precious jewels. We value them most highly where we least expect to find them. But a genuine rarity can only be found in Paris. He fell silent for a moment, then continued. What's your delight, by God? Take a stroll along our boulevards on a spring morning. Charming, elegant women flit along the pavements like blossoms unfurling. Oh, it's a sight for sore eyes. The air is filled with the scent of violets, the very same violets the flower girls slowly cart along the streets in their little wagons. A joyful animation reigns in the city, and one's gaze instinctively seeks out women. Really, how utterly seductive they are in their light, almost transparent dresses through which the body is hinted at. And so you wander, aroused, alert, you wander, sniffing the air, tracking. How wonderful it is on such a morning. You spot the one who pleases you up close from far away. You single her out and recognize her from 100 paces. You divine her by the flower on her hat, the turn of her head, her particular gait. She approaches. There, you whisper to yourself, and you walk towards her, devouring her with your eyes. Who is she? A young errand girl from some shop, a young lady returning from mass, or hurrying to a lover's tryst? What does it matter? Beneath the lacy corset, the curve of her breast is outlined. Oh, to touch her with a hand, or with lips. Is her gaze shy or bold? Is she a brunette or a blonde? What does it matter? From the mere fleeting touch of this passing stranger, a shiver runs down your spine. And how you will desire her until evening, that one you met by chance. Oh, I have preserved the memory of no fewer than 20 women I saw once or twice in just this way, women with whom I could have fallen madly in love, had I come to know them better. But here's the rub. Those we could love passionately, we never actually meet. Have you noticed? It's unfathomable. At times, a woman will flash by, at the mere sight of whom you are set ablaze with desire. But such women are only ever encountered for a moment. When I recall all the captivating creatures I've merely brushed elbows with on the Parisian pavements, I am seized by such a fury that I could climb the walls. Where are they? Who are they? Where can one meet them again, see them once more? The proverb says that we often pass happiness by, and I am convinced that more than once I've passed by the one who could have trapped me, like a linnet, luring me with the freshness of her body. Roger de Annettes listened with a smile, then responded, I am as familiar with that feeling as you are. But here is what happened to me myself. Some 5 years ago, I first saw her on the Pont de la Concorde. A tall, voluptuous woman who made an impression on me. A tremendous impression. Imagine, a brunette, a radiant brunette, with lustrous locks covering her forehead, with wide arches of eyebrows that met. A faint shadow of a mustache on her upper lip made one dream and dream. Well, just as one dreams of beloved forest upon seeing a bouquet of wildflowers on a table. Her waist was slender and her bust was high, as if challenging, beckoning, taunting. Her eyes were like ink blots on white enamel. They weren't eyes, but a shining black abyss, a profound chasm, through which one could penetrate into this woman's very soul. Oh, that strange gaze, mysterious and empty, devoid of thought, yet so beautiful. I fancied she was a Jewess. I followed her. Many men turned to look at her. She walked with a slight sway, not entirely graceful, but stirring. On the place de la Concorde, she hired a fiacre, and I stood there, dumbstruck by the obelisk, standing there, shaken by a surge of desire the likes of which I had never known. I thought of her for a good 3 weeks, then forgot. 6 months later, I saw her again on the Rue de la Paix, and, recognizing her, felt my heart lurch as if at the sight of a mistress once loved to distraction. I stopped to get a better look as she approached. When she passed by me, almost brushing against me, it felt as if a wave of heat from a blazing furnace had washed over me. And when she had moved away, I had the sensation of a fresh breeze wafting across my face. I did not follow her. I was afraid of doing something foolish, afraid of myself. She began to appear to me in my dreams. You know what an obsession that is. A whole year passed without my seeing her. Then, one evening in May, at sunset, I was walking along the Champs-Élysées and recognized her figure ahead of me. Against a fiery sky, the Arc de Triomphe stood out in sharp relief. The air was imbued with a golden dust, veiled in a fiery haze. It was one of those marvelous evenings that serve as the true apotheosis of Paris. I followed her, consumed by a frantic desire to speak, to fall to my knees, to pour out all the feelings suffocating me. Twice I overtook her and turned back. Twice, as I passed her, I felt again that same scorching heat that had seared me on the Rue de la Paix. She glanced at me. Then I saw her disappear into a house on the Rue de Presbourg. I waited by the entrance for 2 hours. She did not emerge. Finally, I ventured to ask the concierge. He gave me a puzzled look. Probably visiting someone, he grumbled. I did not see her for another 8 months. Then, one January morning in a fierce Siberian cold, I was running to warm myself along the boulevard Malherbe when, at a corner, I bumped so violently into a woman that she dropped a small parcel from her hands. I rushed to apologize. It was she. At first, I was utterly dumbfounded. Then, handing her the fallen object, I blurted out, quite unexpectedly even to myself, "Madam, I am both mortified and enchanted by my clumsiness in jostling you so. For over 2 years now, I have known you, been captivated by you, and longed to be introduced. Yet I could never discover who you are or where you live. Forgive these words and attribute them to my passionate desire to be counted among those who have the right to bow before you. Surely such a sentiment cannot offend you? You do not know me at all. My name is Baron Roger de Annettes. Make inquiries, and you will be told that I am a man worthy of being received. If you refuse me, you will make me infinitely wretched. So, be generous, grant me the possibility, show me a way to see you." She fixed me with her strange, lifeless gaze and replied with a smile, "Give me your address. I will come to you." I was so astounded that she must have noticed. But, recovering quickly from such surprises, I hastened to give her my visiting card, which she deftly slipped into her pocket. Her hand was evidently accustomed to discreetly stowing away such notes. Growing bolder, I stammered, "When shall I see you?" She paused, as if consulting a mental schedule, then whispered, "Would you like Sunday morning?" "Of course." And she departed, having run her eyes over me from head to toe with an appraising, studying gaze, heavy and wandering, as if leaving a sticky trace on the skin, like the fluid an octopus releases to befuddle the water and stupefy its victim. Until Sunday, I racked my brains, trying to guess who she was and to decide how to behave with her. Should I pay her? and how to arrange it. In the end, I bought a piece of jewelry, a ring, which I placed in its case on the mantelpiece. After a restless night, I began to wait for her arrival. She came around 10 o'clock, perfectly calm and composed, and offered me her hand like an old acquaintance. I seated her, took her hat, veil, for necklet, and muff. Then, not without some embarrassment, I began to pay ardent court to her, for I did not wish to waste time. However, she did not require much persuasion, and we had not exchanged 20 words before I began to undress her. She took over this difficult task herself, for I can rarely see it through to the end. I'm always pricking my fingers on pins, tying ribbons into hopeless knots instead of untying them. I confuse everything, am always behind, and lose my head. Ah, my dear friend, do you know anything in life more exquisite than the moment when, having discreetly stepped aside so as not to disturb the ostrich-like modesty they all possess, you watch as the one undressing for you sheds all her rustling garments, and they fall, one after another, in rings at her feet? And what can be more beautiful than the movements with which she unfastens these delightful coverings, and they drop to the floor, empty and limp, as if suddenly bereft of life? What a splendid and thrilling spectacle it is when the corset is removed and the naked shoulders and bosom are revealed. How intoxicating are the contours of the body, guessed at beneath the final chemise. But then, as she turned her back to me, I noticed something that struck me, a black mark between her shoulder blades, a large, raised, jet-black mark. And I had promised myself not to look at her. What was it? I could not be mistaken. And the memory of her faint but visible mustache, her meeting eyebrows, the massive hair that covered her head like a helmet, should have prepared me for such a surprise. And yet, I was stunned, and strange visions and recollections seized me. I fancied I was seeing a sorceress from the Arabian Nights, one of those dangerous and cunning creatures whose purpose is to lure men into unknown abysses. I thought of King Solomon, who made the Queen of Sheba walk over a mirror to verify she had no cloven hooves. And when the time came to sing her my song of love, I discovered I had lost my voice, that there remained, my dear fellow, not even the feeblest of notes. Alas, I found I had the voice of a papal chorister, which at first surprised her and then infuriated her exceedingly, and she said, hurriedly pulling on her dress, "It was needless for you to trouble yourself." I attempted to offer her the ring I had procured for her, but she uttered with freezing arrogance, "Whom do you take me for, sir?" And I flushed to the very tips of my ears, consumed by this new humiliation, and she departed without uttering another word. So ended my entire adventure. But the worst of it is, I am now in love with her, in love to the point of madness. I can no longer glance at any woman without my thoughts turning to her. All others are repugnant to me, even disgusting, especially those who bear no resemblance to her. I cannot press my lips to another's cheek without seeing her features beside me and feeling the searing agony of my unappeased passion. She is present at all my rendezvous. She poisons every caress, rendering it hateful to me, in a dress or naked. She is always near, as the most desired of mistresses. Visible, yet unattainable, she stands or reclines right there, beside the other. And I am more and more convinced that the woman truly was a sorceress, marked by that mysterious sign between her shoulders. Who is she? I still do not know. I have encountered her twice more. I bowed to her, but she did not deign to respond, pretending not to recognize me. Who is she? Perhaps a native of Asia? Most likely, An Eastern Jewess. Yes, a Jewess. But why do I think so? Why? Yes, why indeed? I do not know. Thank you for joining us on this literary journey. To ensure you don't get lost and can hear the next story, simply click subscribe. I eagerly await your reactions and impressions in the comments below.